Factsverse presents Tough 70-year-old teacher has no kids or wife. Then, students expose the truth they must report. Before becoming a teacher, Jim had an eventful life. Right after high school, he joined the Navy. During this time, he was stationed on the USS Enterprise, where he worked as an electrician. Soon, he was shipped out to serve in the Vietnam War. When he returned home, he got a job as an electrician for the New York Port Authority. During this time, he served the Lincoln and Holland tunnels, and soon that just wasn't enough for him. He went to work during the day and went to school at night, where he worked to earn an engineering degree. After graduating, Jim moved to California, where he got a job with Hughes Aircraft. He spent his free time volunteering as a children's sports coach, and it was then he decided he wanted to be a teacher. He got his teaching degree and he got a job at St. Francis High School, which is a Catholic prep school in La Canada, California. There he taught algebra and calculus. His students didn't see him as a pushover at all. In fact, he was known to be stern, a strict disciplinarian. Jim believed that to teach 30 boys effectively, there was no time for fun and games. His classes were all about learning. One of his students, Michael Tingloff, says that if you looked at the clock during class, you'd be on Jim's bad list for the rest of the hour. Another student, Pat McGoldrick, says that when Jim would tell a joke, the kids wouldn't get it and they'd think that he's mean. Jim's reputation for being strict didn't bother him, though. He knew his students needed to succeed, and being strict was the way to make it happen. Well, Jim didn't speak much about his personal life, and people believed this was because he didn't really have a personal life. He never married, he never had children. Most people who knew Jim thought that teaching was all he had. It wouldn't be long before those people would realize they were wrong. In 2013, Jim's students, Michael and Pat, headed up a blood drive. It was their job to get people to donate blood, and before the drive, the boys decided to do a little research on the subject, so they went to visit the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. They wanted to see how the donated blood would help those in need. When the boys got to the hospital, they told the staff what school they were from and why they were there. When the staff heard the name of the school, they were delighted. They were greeted with open arms, and it was because they were students of Jim's. Well, at first the boys couldn't figure out what their teacher had to do with the hospital. They were even more shocked when they got to the hospital's blood donation center and saw a plaque with their teacher's name on it. A staff member told the boys that the plaques were there to recognize the people who had given the most blood over the years. Turned out their teacher, Jim, had given more than anybody. In 1989, a nurse friend of Jim's asked him to donate blood. When they discovered that Jim's blood was O-negative, they told him that was universal. His blood could be given to any patient of any blood type. He was also told that the blood could be given to newborns and people who had been in accidents when there was no time to test their blood type. Well, with that in mind, Jim donated over 70 gallons of blood between 1989 and 2014. Pat and Michael were shocked to hear that. After speaking to the staff, they learned even more about their teacher, which showed them that he was more selfless than strict. Because Jim was donating so much blood, he wanted to understand where his donations were going, and that led him to see tiny babies who needed operations and the toddlers who were having chemotherapy. He also spoke with parents whose marriages were falling apart because of their children's suffering. Jim decided he wanted to do more. He was told about a position called a TLC volunteer. Volunteers would hold and cuddle sick babies and walk around with them. Many sick babies' parents had to work, and they needed love and attention during the day. Some children's parents weren't allowed to visit because of alleged abuse, and they also required TLC. And that was when Jim decided to step in and help. He says at first he was kind of nervous about it because some of the babies were so small. Some were hooked up to machines. Over time, though, he became more comfortable with the babies and would spend his days walking up and down the halls with them, making them feel safe. He says that he may not have had children of his own, but he loved dedicating his life to those children. This tough 70-year-old teacher, he had no wife, no kids, and his students exposed the truth. Michael and Pat always thought of their teacher as being strict and not much fun, but after learning about his blood donations and his volunteer work with the babies, they discovered another side of their teacher and spread the word about it. Pat says learning more about Jim doesn't make him any less strict, it just shows them that he's a really good guy. And they're both proud to have him as their teacher. Subscribe for more.